I want to circle back to this filibuster thing real quick, because there was something that Biden said, and all these people are saying. You got Dickie Durbin. Let's see what he has to say. Dick Durbin about possibly doing away with the filibuster. This is him
bringing back the so-called talking filibuster. And just to be clear to our viewers, that would change the process, but it wouldn't change the outcome, right? Because you're still going to need 60 votes. So will that need to happen? Will you need to change the 60 vote threshold? And will you have the votes to do that?
Well, I certainly support the talking filibuster as proof positive that if someone cares enough to stop the Senate in its tracks, to say to the Senate, you cannot even consider the measure that is before you. Is it too much to ask them to stand at their desk to show that personal commitment? Right now, they phone it in. They call the cloakroom, the room right off the floor of the Senate chamber, and say, yeah, I think I'm going to do a filibuster. Stop that bill on the floor. That's all it takes now. And some senators start a filibuster on Friday, go home for the weekend, and come back on Monday to see how they're doing.
So when are you going to do that?
Well, I'd like to see both sides come together and say this is reasonable.
The reason that I'm bringing this up is because I just think the media that covers this is being so completely, they're just lying to you that this even matters. Okay, let me start. First of all, I'm not even going to dignify a talking filibuster like that matters. Like, this is what Biden's big, brave idea is. Okay, if you make them talk, you know what they're going to do? Okay, like Tom Cotton will come up and just read a Breitbart article on why the New York Times 1619 project is terrible, or he'll just read like Rush Limbaugh's books, the late great scoundrel who recently died. Like, it doesn't matter, a talking filibuster. It doesn't change the actual threshold for what you would need for a vote. But
I think I've idealized talking filibusters because of Bernie's and Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
A talking filibuster is not going to bring you to the promised land. But the reality is, and you and I were talking about this before the live stream, even if you completely got rid of the filibuster completely, which I'm all for, I don't want to poo-poo that because it would be good. That's not going to get us to the promised land either, because the problem isn't Senate procedure. The problem isn't the filibuster. Well, it is part of it, but that's just what MSNBC viewers think. Oh, really? The real grave threat to our democracy is the filibuster, is stopping progress. No. Even if you got rid of the filibuster, we just saw through this coronavirus stimulus, even if you only needed majority vote, 51 votes, you have enough people that are corrupt. Let me repeat that. You have enough people that are elected representatives who are bought off. Why does Joe Manchin vote down the $15 minimum wage? Look at who donates money to him. Why does Kristen Sinema go up like she's in an episode of Clueless and thumbs down? Look at who's donating money to her. There were 8 Democrats when Bernie pushed.
Okay, no Clueless slander.
Oh, excuse me. There were Bernie, who as an amendment just did a straight vote on the minimum wage. There was 8 Democrats who voted no, including Biden's BFF, Chris Coons in Delaware, including 2 senators from New Hampshire. So the problem isn't just the filibuster. I would argue that if you got rid of the filibuster tomorrow, we still don't have enough votes on the Democratic side for Medicare for all, for a Green New Deal, for a $15 minimum wage, to make the child tax credit permanent, which to me, child tax credit is kind of like a neoliberal policy, but certainly better than nothing. So the problem isn't the filibuster. The problem is our government has been auctioned off to corporate America, and our politicians have been bribed. I don't agree with Cenk Uygur on much of anything anymore, but the original roots of TYT and what he said, I will borrow from him. It's a legalized auction. That's America. It's a legalized auction. So Jen, get rid. Okay. We do a standing filibuster. Obviously, that's not going to make a difference. Get rid of the filibuster. Do you think that means that Medicare for all would pass? Green New Deal, $15 minimum wage? Am I wrong?
No, you're right. Wouldn't make a difference.
So that's my point. They're trying to gaslight you. And this is what the corporate media does so well. It really is, in a way, a psychops. it has a way of distracting people of what is actually happening. So after Hillary lost to a game show host, they distracted people into thinking new Cold War. It's the Russians. Now that Biden has won, and he essentially in a month essentially walked back 3 of his core promises, and he didn't make many promises. You know, the whole campaign was restoring the soul of something. $15 minimum wage, walk that back. $2,000, walk that back. Now he's firing people because they smoked weed. Seriously.
Oh, God.
He just fired 5 people because they previously smoked weed. So
100 overall, just 5 in the White House.
100 overall. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's intellectually dishonest. And the media is acting like, oh my God, this would be some brave new frontier, having them do a talking filibuster. Why don't you actually ask Dana Bash or Jake Tupperware or George Stephanopoulos? Why wouldn't you ask? Well, President Biden correctly saying that the $1.9 trillion stimulus has overwhelming support. So if we're talking about policies that have overwhelming support, we got a pandemic. Tens of millions of people are now off their healthcare, lost their healthcare. Why does this bill give, I think, $60 billion to Cobra rather than just expanding Medicare, which here's the polls. You're talking about popular polls. Why are you ignoring the popularity of Medicare for all? You see what's going down there in Texas because fossil don't invest money in actually protecting their infrastructure, weatherizing. That's why you had the disaster in Texas and Mississippi, might I add. Why aren't you for a Green New Deal, which has overwhelming support? But they don't ask these questions because they want to deflect and distract and create this performative discussion that really this is about the filibuster. So I don't want you to be confused. I'm for getting rid of the filibuster, but I think it's intellectually dishonest for them to be pushing that this somehow is what's stopping democracy. No. What's stopping democracy is elections seem, in some cases they matter, but overwhelmingly we keep electing people that don't honor their promises, that don't even make many promises, and essentially twist themselves into human pretzels to go against public sentiment. Do you think genuinely, what objective person actually believes that the reason a $15 minimum wage is not the law of the land right now is because of something called the Senate parliamentarian? Seriously, that's not a thing. He didn't put a $15 minimum wage in because he genuinely doesn't believe in it. He's never believed in it. He might say it as a policy, but he never believed in it because his record shows he doesn't believe in it. And by the way, why this is so detrimental, Jen, that they're moving back off on this, because it sets back the entire progressive movement and progress permanently. Because the truth is, we needed to get a $15 minimum wage done like right now because it's not enough. And then we could have started fighting and setting the groundwork for a $20 minimum wage. You need to get basically a $15 minimum wage. That's what it should have been, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, not now. So by this being delayed, it only delays the eventuality of the campaign for $20 minimum wage, for more than that. So I just think people are really, they're being gaslit. And unfortunately, Jen, I know, I got my Bernie doll and we all love Bernie.
I should have brought my Bernie doll over. I should go get it. My new one.
We all love Bernie and what he's done, but I think Bernie's out to lunch right now. I think AOC, the squad, Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, I don't really know what they're doing. I got to tell you the truth. I don't know what they're doing because they're not doing what they said they were going to do, which is fight. Pramila Jayapal just reintroduces the Medicare for All bill. Okay. Well, what does that matter? You don't have leverage. Like Jimmy just did a video on it. The leverage you had was 2 months ago. You don't have any leverage now. So you could reintroduce the bill. You could tweet about it, but you don't have any leverage. They don't have to give you anything now because you gave them everything they wanted, voting for Pelosi, voting for this 1.9 trillion stimulus without demanding anything. So we don't have any leverage. AOC, all these people. I think the motivations are there, but the tactics and the strategy are not there. And AOC, I saw her do like this video, like talking about this 1.9 trillion stimulus deal, which is, we fought for this, we fought for that. Well, I think the 1.9 trillion, and if you watch Richard Wolff, it's a lot of temporary measures that are going to give an economic sugar high, but fundamentally, it's not going to change anything structurally. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the progressive movement is doing at this point. I think Bernie right now is not using the power or leverage he has. I don't know if it's he's just tired. He's been around for 6 years running across the country. He's burnt out. He's pushing 80. I don't know what it is, but I think right now you have a fractured progressive movement that's not actually playing hardball. And Bernie did say, and we should hold him to what he said. I don't idolize Bernie Sanders, and nobody should. He said, hold your nose, get Biden in there, get rid of Trump, and we fight Biden on day one. Well, where's the fight?
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.